Good evening and happy Diwali. Thanks for coming out to celebrate Dr. B V Doshi on this festival day. It is my great honor to welcome Dr. Doshi to Bangalore and here to the Bangalore International Center. This evening's program is in memory of our dear friend Vimal Jain. We miss him dearly and are so happy to have this opportunity to spend time with Dr. Doshi in Vimal's memory. This evening we have a packed program, presentations by Champaka Rajagopal from Azim Premjit University, who has led several large public projects on urban policy, planning and design in India and abroad. Soumitro Ghosh, the internationally recognized architect. Both Champaka and Soumitro were educated at CEPT, the institution started by Dr. Doshi. Navnath Kannade, who worked with Dr. Doshi in the 60s, and Sanjay Mohe, both celebrated architects and educators, and both part of the BASE group. BASE, for those of you who don't know, stood for Beer and Slide Evenings, if I'm right. This evening we also have 3 clips from the films my brother Premjit Ramachandran has made on Dr. Doshi. And finally, we will have a conversation with Dr. Doshi, moderated by Premjit. I welcome Sri Vasudevan Akitham, Rekhaji and Professor Chaya, who have accompanied Dr. Doshi from Ahmedabad, and Sri Ravi Chandra, who's here, the director of the BIC. I welcome all of you to the BIC, to Bangalore, to this evening's celebration of Dr. Doshi's great work in life. So thank you, and sit back and enjoy the show. Thanks.
Welcome, Doshi. It's indeed a pleasure to see you here. And so this morning, while I'm looking for one of the slides, I chanced upon the book, which was signed in 1989 by Doshi when I was doing my internship there. So one of his students, Shubhrajit, who had actually forced me and spoken to Doshi that he wants me to shift to Ahmedabad and do my internship and change the school. And Doshi, of course, was very encouraging. And I went for the interview. Chaya, of course, was trying to dissuade me because I was losing 1.5 years. But I threw that away and I took it. So in terms of learning, Doshi has been a wonderful mentor. And in my final year, when I was presenting the project which was near the Blue Mosque and the Hagia Sophia, I had this huge clay model, and it was wonderful. I think that was one of the precious things of Doshi and all the teachers and mentors in Ahmedabad, that it was extremely constructive, it was encouraging, and I could see there was almost like a jugalbandi which happened between Doshi, Anant Raje, and Gemini Mehta. 3 of them were there for the jury. So the learning is never enough. So I'm going to run through, as I try to also understand Doshi as a person, and also his work, because somehow I think there is a deeper link. And this is what I have tried to put together through a few slides. We can start, please. So this is a very personal narrative, actually, because it is what I sort of see and understand of Doshi's work, which begins with a very monastic sense. It has a quietude of another kind. It's also post-Corbusier, and it's a time which he's trying to find his ground into Ahmedabad. But all the time there are elements which are appearing which break that monastic silence. I won't get into the details. I would like you to read perhaps the top right picture. There are elements which, and I'm not talking about architectural elements. I think my interest has been to understand a mind and work and the person. That's from school. Doshi's capacity to be comfortable with what he does not know, almost taking huge interest in jumping into something which is beyond his known capacity, and this was in the late 80s, early 90s, and I have seen him also struggling with this while this was being conceptualized, being worked out, and yet he would never give up. And that comfort, I think, with the unknown is very critical. Not knowing what a space will become, or perhaps he knew. Just like talking to Doshi, which is always open-ended. A lot of his architecture almost reflects that. It doesn't have contained boundaries. It leaves enormous number of possibilities. And I think that's something quite amazing which he explores in a number of projects. Because all these projects are in contained perimeters, but it would have its own open ends. This is, I really don't know, a lot of the pictures are from Vastushil Foundation collection. This picture is, I don't know who the photographer is, but it's a wonderful picture, almost like a theater set, where I can have almost a completely different narrative with the people inside this space. Doshi talks a lot about Indian architecture and places, and I think there is something beyond that, which is the places of ambiguity, and which Doshi achieves immensely well with extremely modern and simple ways. How to be one and simultaneously be, or at another time, be possible to be appropriated for something else. Having one's voice, an own voice and identity, did come to Doshi after his return from Corbusier's office. And it's in the 80s, while conversations were going on, not only in India but also in the West, about Indianness and various things. And just like I'm sure Doshi must be thinking, even at that time, is this the right thing to do? We were also sort of critical at that time. Is it playing to the gallery or is it actually honest? So this was, I think it was a time of struggle, of finding a voice. The difference between ground and earth. And this is something which Doshi has surpassed immensely. The difference between ground and earth. Earth relates to us, has a different sense of value. So from the earth to all these different things, there is also about an inner stillness which the architecture shows. And this is a very difficult, it cannot be called a trick. You cannot curate it easily. And this perhaps comes only automatically as you do it, practice more and more. The last thing, which is about humanism and legacy. And here I have put Corbusier's sketch and Doshi's sketch and what it has done to number of people in the indoor project. And it makes a huge difference. And I think this is where, for letting people to have their sense of need and freedom to occupy the places that they live in. And that, I think, goes for Doshi, because he's always left it open for people to become what they have the potential to be. And Doshi's largest contribution, which has been about making people. And that, I think, today, over lunch, we had 4 generations of teachers together. We had Doshi, we had Chaya, there was me, and I had a student of mine. So there were 4 generations together. So I'll end with one last line. So Doshi has asked very simple questions. Questions like, why is water wet? Or why is the air transparent? And he would ask it with a very childlike innocence. And his greatest strength has been that he has understood how to be with everything, everyone, but most importantly, but with himself. Thank you.
Like
I
winning
tell you,
attention.
in my childhood, evening the doors were never closed. When the light is on, the main door is slightly opened. When I asked them, my grandfather, he said, because you don't know who is going to come. And my belief is, you never know who is coming in which form. And that I believe very, very strongly.